Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog. Great session for you today. Wait till you see. This is one of my newer friends. The man's a friggin' genius from everything I have seen. Uh, Quantum 5 LLC. This guy and his company are consulting some of the biggest, most successful dealers in the country. I'm talking about, I bumped into Dave O'Brien about 3 weeks ago when I was working on a broadcast with Brian Kramer at Germain Toyota in Naples, Florida. Those guys are selling 500 units a month. And part of the secret sauce is this guy. Here he comes. Dave
Hey,
O'Brien.
good
How
to
you
be
doing, big
here.
guy?
I'm doing great. It's outstanding Monday, I'll tell you that.
Best day of my entire life.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Well, Quantum 5 LLC. Tell me about your company before we get into how these people can grow their dealerships to unbelievable numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jim, let me first start out with I'm here today because of folks like you blazing the trail in the training business. And I don't know if you remember when we talked about it at the Rosemont Horizon, it was in the early 1980s. I was just a really young guy in the car business, right? But I remember I was at a Clark Maple Chevrolet in downtown Chicago, and they sent me to some of your training. And I got to tell you, I told you earlier how excited I am to be here with you because, man, I learned so much from you when I was a young guy in the business, and the same when I finally got into F&I. So grateful to be here. In real simple terms, Jim, Quantum is this company that was built around the idea that said, we have absolutely important digital transformation going on in the automotive industry.
Oh, yeah.
We have stores like Brian's store down in Naples, Florida, making unbelievable advancements. Great technology companies aiding dealers with these advancements. And what I began to observe is whether it was a service advisor who was using a new technology or it was a salesperson using a new technology, that some of the skill stuff that, by the way, you shared with me when I was a young guy in the car business that you said I had to be good at, some of that stuff had gotten left behind a little bit, it felt like, Jim. And what I felt was going to happen is that technology might overrun good salespeople and good service advisors and make them less needed or diminish
Wow.
their income. And I
What a
didn't want to see
great
that happen.
concept. What a great concept. You
Yep.
know, I get so sick of old school, new school. It's just school.
Yeah.
I mean, and some of the things that we've been doing for years are still extremely valid.
Yes,
And there's
sir.
other things that we need to replace with technology. And what I like about Quantum LLC and what you're doing is you're advising people on the correct path. And because there's some really bad technology being sold to dealers, and there's some fantastic, great technology being sold to dealers. And they need somebody like you to light the path and say, this is the way.
Oh, for sure. And then I said to myself too, something that I know you believe in. I didn't want to just be another one of those training companies. How about if we found a way to let technology actually help us keep that training alive? I mean, I want to be part of what you always talked about, being the dealer advocate. And we call it in my company, dealers deserve better, which is let's do this skill development. But how about instead of just telling the dealer, hey, see you later, thanks for paying me, how about we could use technology and AI based work to keep the training growing people's skills after a human wasn't there to do the training? So much of it surrounds how do we help salespeople and advisors make a great income? And then how do we help it keep getting better after the trainer gets on an airplane?
I can't tell you how many times, I've been in 1,000 dealerships in 49 states. I never made it to Alaska, but I have desk deals. I've caught ups. I've taken TOs with customers. I've performed F&I desk deals. I've done all of the functions in 49 states, 1,000 stores. And every time I go into a dealership, this is what I hear. Well, when that Ziegler catches the plane Friday, we're going to go back to what we used to do.
Oh, yes. I know they've said the same about me over my career in training. And to some degree, I always felt bad because I didn't have another way to do it. I want to go to Alaska with you, though, just to give you an idea of where Quantum's going. Our newest client that joined us last Friday has dealerships in Fairbanks and in Anchorage, and have told us that as soon as the health situation allows, right, that they expect us on an airplane to Alaska. And I was the first one on my team to raise my hand, and I might need to take the Alpha Dog with me, that's for sure.
The farthest away I ever went was Hawaii. I was consulting the Cutter chain, and the Cutter chain in the 80s and 90s into the 2000s, they were writing tremendous checks. I'm telling you, they were, and they had a problem that I flew first class. Their comptroller couldn't get it because I was flying first class from Atlanta to Oahu. You know, it was about a $5,000 ticket then. But Dawg don't fly in the back of no planes. I mean, that was they didn't mind paying me the extravagant amount for me and my consultants to come in the dealership, but it was that airfare that finally done me in with that dealership. They were selling 60% of the cars on the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah, they were a good company, and if you went to visit the islands, you knew you were going to see Cutter Ford not long after you left the airport, right?
Oh, and not only that, but they were friends. They were great friends, Nick Cutter and the whole crew. Even Herman Jones, the comptroller, he and I were great friends. And this is funny. They gave Mr. Miyagi, the actor that played Mr. Miyagi.
Ralph something, right?
No, golly. It's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. But anyway, they gave him a car to drive and he wouldn't give it back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, golly. Well, we visited. We got some people starting to show up on the sidebar. We'll probably pick up maybe 20, 25, 30 people on this broadcast. But I got to tell you, we get thousands on the replays.
Mm-hmm.
A month from now, we'll still be getting viewers on this broadcast. I'm visiting with you for a minute or two while the viewers build up. But anyway, we talk about Quantum LLC, Quantum 5 LLC. What is the secret sauce? What do you tell dealers? What is unusual about your company?
Yeah, I say to dealers the same thing that I said to Brian Kramer at Germain Toyota in Naples the very first time, which is if you think of it like training an airplane pilot for a second, Jim, right? If you hire a pilot who doesn't fit your airplane, it doesn't matter how great the airplane and its technology are. I use the example of David Robinson, the great San Antonio Spurs player, right? 6'1" when the Naval Academy recruited him, 6'7" when he graduated, and he wanted to fly fighter jets, but he didn't fit anymore. So, Jim, I start out and I tell dealers, look, let's think carefully about who we put in $100 million dealerships. And then number two, let's train them to use the $100 million technology. Let's train them really well at the core stuff, not just how to use the drop downs, but the stuff you were doing in the very beginning when Digital Dealer started, that is, it still takes great humans to make this technology connect with a customer.
I've always said average people with great processes can yield incredible results.
Yes.
You don't need superstars. Superstars are temperamental. They blow in, they blow out, they take their people with them. You know, I want good, solid people with a good, solid background that fit, and I get rid of bad people.
Yes. And so we started with that and said, let's help these great people get better at what they do with the technology. And then I think the real secret sauce for us at Quantum is we wanted to know how could we use AI and technology to do good at a car dealership? Not just good for marketing or equity mining, but how could we do good for that salesperson who's got a wife and a couple of kids and help them make more money so that their career is better and their family is better.
That's one of the problems right now with AI vendors. They're coming in the dealerships and saying, well, you can fire your high paid employees. You don't have to pay them as much. You get rid of your F&I managers. I'm hearing all of this. And all of a sudden it's getting to be a bunch of monkeys with notes in their mouth.
And how about what we're starting to see pop up on service drives, kiosks, to replace the need for a high-priced service advisor, because I can check myself in. I'll tell an iPad what's wrong with my car, and I don't have, my guy's name's John. I don't have John anymore. John helps me with the last 4 cars, right? And so I didn't want to see that happen, Jim. So I said, how do we use AI to keep training alive? Not some hokey game, but the game of get better at my skills. And what if we let automotive people hang out in a community where they got to learn and learn from others? And what if they could have fun learning because the AI worked in their favor and their privacy?
That's what I really liked about Quantum 5 LLC when I first saw you.
Yeah.
First thing I said, oh, damn, another vendor, another consultant, excuse me, another analyst. And, when you talk about analysts, the first 4 letters tell it all. So anyway, and then I started watching, you were preserving profitability.
Yeah.
So many vendors today are charging dealers a fortune to lower their profits. And the internet is the worst thing that ever happened to the car business. The worst. And the reason for that is the internet has never sold one additional unit that would not have been sold were there no internet. Now, okay, so that being said, then all of a sudden a bunch of vendors jumped in between us and our customers and charged us to lower our profits. And we still have the AI vendors lowering our profits and charging dealers to lower your profits and telling you it's a good thing.
Yes.
While they steal your profits. Okay, so then on the other hand, that being said, you better be good at it because the internet redistributed who got the sales.
Mm-hmm.
So it's here. It's the worst thing ever happened to us, but it's here. You better be good at it. And
no, I get it. And what I want to see is, I call it using technology and AI for the good of humans instead of against them. So for example, I don't travel as much as you did back in the day, but I traveled about 187 days last year. Well, by end of April this year, everywhere I went on social media, they knew so much about me that they started sending me ads for candles that smelled like my favorite hotels.
Oh, no.
So here's my data being sold, I say it jokingly, for evil. How to manipulate me to pay, by the way, it was $49.95. I didn't buy one, but I was kind of tempted, right? And they were using my data about my travel habits to try and manipulate me to spend $50 on a candle. Hey, Jim, how about if we used AI instead of manipulating people to spend money? What if we could use that data to help service advisors know how to sell more tires, or salespeople to know how to handle objections better so that they made more money? Because I think customers will pay for a great salesperson with a frictionless process. I don't think salespeople have to go anywhere unless we let it happen by not getting them to add value to the technology process, so that people go, no, this was the best balance of 2 things. I'm in.
Well, see, the thing about it is, me personally, I have no envy. You and I are here talking about things for the good of the industry.
Yes.
Because technically, you and I are competitors. Technically,
Well,
you and I are in competition with each other. We're both vying for the same money from the same clients. So understand, you're my competitor, but like I said, I have no envy. You are a good thing for the dealers. I want dealers to know about you. I mean, it's important for me that the industry progresses.
I want to be, and I think I told you this on my first call, I want to be friends with everybody that's trying to help dealers, that's bringing quality and integrity to helping salespeople and advisors get better. There's somebody that's watching this today that I've known for a long time. He just sent you and I a message, Randy Tucker, who's one of the most professional guys you're going to meet, that wants to go out and help people in dealerships do better at what they do. And I'm okay that Randy and I fit for different modes and different things. And you and I fit different things. But in the end, what Randy wants to do, because he's a guy who he's just like you, Jim. He's done fabulous in life. He doesn't have to be doing anything right now.
Oh, no.
But what he cares about is, I want to help salespeople get better. And he's pouring into dealerships because he personally cares.
You know, me personally, I have enough money. There's such a thing as having enough money. I'm not filthy, stinking rich, but I have enough money. I can't possibly spend what I have earned in my expected lifetime. And I'm still making money. I'm still in the business. So it stopped being about money with me a while back. Now it's about my legacy. It's about the industry itself. I've always been the dealer advocate, and I smell that. I see that with you, and I see that with Quantum LLC. The consulting business. You're in the consulting business. I don't consider myself a trainer. I'm a consultant. I do train, but primarily, when I quit the car business in 1986 and I came home, I said, they cut my pay plan again. And my wife said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to start a company. I'm going to consult car dealerships. She said, who else is doing this? I said, nobody. It was like, oh.
Yeah, no, but that's why I said you paved the way for the rest of us. And I'm grateful to hang out with you and to learn more things from you. I also think that we narrowed it down to these 5 skills, Jim, because we spend so much time teaching salespeople now how to use a CRM or a service advisor, how to use X time on an iPad. Hey, when's the last time we taught salespeople how to read personality types and how to adjust so people have a better experience? But we could take it one step further. What if we could teach them how to read personality types via what's said in the emails or what it sounds like on a phone pop? And I think these folks deserve chances to get better at knowing, how do I work with Randy different than I do Sally?
How to determine their buying motive.
Yes.
Some people just contacted you because they want to see if they can get their credit approved, and we're trying to sell them the price.
Yep. We jump to deal facts instead of understand what you care about. Let me get deep with, I'm going to be the person that adds value, takes care of you, fills your needs. And instead, I hear good salespeople who they're just getting the wrong direction, and they get on a call or they email somebody and they go, so what will you be trading? Have you checked to see if you're upside down on it? Deal facts, deal facts, deal facts. Instead of, so Mr. Ziegler, tell me, why did you love my truck? Tell me what's important to have in your next truck, right?
Yeah. Now, did you ever hear of a salesperson named Irving Silver?
No, sir.
In Atlanta, Irving was legendary in his day. He was over 100 years old when he passed away a couple of years ago. He was one of my best friends. Irving Silver was the #1 Nash Rambler salesman in history. And he came out of retirement when I was working with Troncalli Motors Nissan in Atlanta. I was the F&I manager. He came out of retirement, the first salesperson in Atlanta to make $50,000 in a year. And in 3 years out of retirement, he sold the world record of Jaguar sales. He sold 839 Jaguars in 3 years, not counting how many Nissans and used cars he sold.
That's a lot of Jaguar. That's a lot of anything, right?
A lot of anything. 839, I think that number's correct. The president of Jaguar at the time flew over and presented him a trophy, because that was just unheard of. And I asked Irving, I said, Irving, how did you sell so many cars? And he said, Jim, I was memorable.
It's a
What
great
a
word,
great,
Jim.
I was memorable. We were cleaning out our closet here a while back, and my wife came across this little travel ironing board. You ever see one of those, the little 2 foot long travel ironing boards?
Yes.
And she starts to throw it away when we moved. I said, no, you won't. I said, that's an Irving Silver ironing board. She said, what? I said, turn it over. On the back of it, it was written in marker, no matter what problems, we can iron it out together, Irving. And he put one of those in every trunk of every car he sold.
Wow.
Tacky, yeah, maybe tacky, but Irving was one of a kind, one of my best friends. I
But
was
Jim,
memorable.
you're hitting on something so important, and Irving knew it, and I think we should be teaching it, right? What Irving knew, I love your words that he said to you about being memorable, okay? And one of our skills that we teach in the class is called building relationships. And I think we have allowed auto sales folks to think the CRM is the relationship builder, and we have forgotten that the things we're supposed to do, the being memorable, the handwritten card. Okay, maybe I don't give you an ironing board, but how about I at least send a handwritten card instead of a text or an email that looks boilerplate out of my CRM? And then maybe I start to earn the repeats and referrals that make me have a chance to be Mr. Silver. If I can just tell you the story of a great modern Mr. Silver here in where I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. There's a fabulous Mercedes-Benz store that is one of my clients. And there is a salesperson there that will kind of blush when I tell you his name is Tino Ferrulli. Tino's been there for 31 years, Jim. Same owner, same store. This is a 300 car a year, excuse me. Wow, a month. 300 car a year plus Mercedes-Benz sales professional.
No, I know him.
And Tino is just incredible at being memorable to his clients. He is the cornerstone of build a relationship, care about you, understand you, and I will be here to take care of you after guy. Isn't he?
Well, the thing about it is I have met a lot of these people. They're all over the country. I know many 50, I know several hundred car a month salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have common traits. Number one, they reach out in the community and generate their own business.
Mm-hmm.
They are self-promoters, they're self-branding. They become a brand within a brand. Every one of the 50, 100 unit a month salespeople that I know, they are a brand. They reach out in the community and they keep relationships with previous customers.
Yes.
I tell people, when you call a customer, stop selling them a car every time you call them. You know, but people start, oh my God, it's him again. I already know the conversation. Who do you know? Do you have a relative? Do you have a friend? And they're going to pound me for a referral. I just like to call up people and say, Jim Ziegler, I don't have a business agenda for this call. I just want to see, did your son get that promotion? How's the car doing? I don't even talk about business every single call. You know, because if every time you call them, you're trying to sell them something, they don't take your calls.
I watched an incredible salesperson, a 40 car a month person at a Honda store back in April, start calling his entire owner base. He said, things are a little slower. He goes, I've got 6,000 customers after all these years, but I'm going to call every one of them and I'm going to let them know to be careful how they clean the interior of the car so that they don't damage the leather. And I'm going to give them the name of 2 products that'll disinfect but not hurt their leather. He goes, that's going to be the only reason I call and to make sure they're okay.
The only reason I called was to do something for you.
Yes.
The only reason I called was because I care about you. And I diary my conversations. So many salespeople, they got a CRM, diary your conversations. Okay, if you told me that your wife was trying to get a promotion and you told me that in September, and I call you back in March, first thing I'm going to say, hey, Dave, did your wife get that job? Because I've got it I've diaried my conversations. I keep a diary of what we say with the consumer. Hey, John, I know it's December, but back in April, you told me you're going to buy a car January 1st. You still, back in April, you told me that. Back in February, you told me you're going to buy a car first of the year. I've got that flagged and diaried in my CRM.
Yeah, no, it's something that's a lost art. And not everybody, Jim. I mean, I love this business, and we've got some incredible professionals in it. I just think that the next generation that we want to have succeed needs to learn the same things and not think that technology is the only thing and they don't have to do anything. And I think the two can be married together. Imagine how much more productive you and I would have been if we'd have had that computer that was as sophisticated as today.
I sold 30 cars many months. More, and I was never beaten as a salesperson. I sold cars in 3 different dealerships before I became a manager, and I was the top salesperson in all 3. Undisputed. I never looked over my shoulder. Number 2 was never gaining on me. And it was a flat file Rolodex. Actually, it was 2 flat file Rolodexes, one with dates in it and one with alphabetical names in it.
Yeah.
And it was a 10 key, and my gosh, I would tickle the Rolodex every day. Every day I'm tickling those files. Who haven't I talked to lately? Well,
I'll tell you, you'd laugh. I refuse to get rid of it. It's still in my garage, wrapped in plastic. I still have my Tom Stuker box.
Oh, no.
Same tickler file. Yep. That when I first got into the business, they sent me to his training, and I got a box with the cards, and I still have my Tom Stuker box.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
They were good habits for all of us. I'll tell you one more that I know you're a believer in because we talked about it, is this whole area about how we build value. Again, I love and embrace technology, but we've let the idea that this is an internet lead and some of the folks that train about it convince us they know everything about the car. So when we go to do a presentation, we're doing this, boring, just based on what the manufacturer training said. By the way, that's if I actually took the training, right? Because normally I paid the other guy at the dealership $40 for the answers so that I could just get through the OEM training faster. I said that to an OEM last week, and they went, yeah, we know that happens. But how about we start doing presentations that are meaningful, because I talk to you about what matters. We did this at Brian's dealership in Florida, and I did it at a BMW dealership in Florida. We talked about how down in Florida, and I know you lived down there for a short time, one of the things folks want is for it to be easy for their guests that fly from the Midwest when they come visit them in Florida, right? One of the salespeople said after training, he goes, hey, the other day I was doing a presentation and he was talking about having to pick people up at the airport. And I said, let me show you how using this vehicle with the remote open on the back is going to make getting luggage in and out and golf clubs in and out so much easier. He looked at the customer, looked at him and said, man, he goes, I hadn't thought about that, but I'll use that all the time for that. Well, we've gotten away from tailoring product presentations. We do feature benefit advantage, safety, technology. And they have to be better than that again, Jim. They just don't know how.
I tell salespeople all the time, why did we hire you? Mm-hmm. We hired you because we suspected you had a personality. Do you romance a customer the way that you romance, any other situation in your life? I mean, it's persuasion and finesse. Persuasion and finesse. And so many people today want to have robotic sales pitches. They want to be like a mechanism.
Yep.
And I used to always say, Dave, that consumers, you ever see the show RoboCop?
Yes, I
Remember
remember.
RoboCop? RoboCop was so cool. When I was a kid, RoboCop had a computerized eyeball.
Hmm.
And sometimes the cameraman was good enough to let you see through his computerized eyeball. And it had little grids and little numbers in it. And when RoboCop walked into a room, he'd look at somebody and go, and he would analyze you. Well, consumers have that robotic eyeball. And they know you, whether you are sincere, they know whether you are rehearsed, they know whether you are poor body language, poor facial expression, poor voice tone. They know that.
Yes. One of the things we talk to salespeople about during training is how do we start to communicate with genuineness and heart? Because consumers will pay money when you deliver that kind of value. This is not about salespeople and advisors have to make less money because this technology is there. It's about I can be additive to the technology and then I get to take more money home to my kids.
Well, the technology wants to be able to do all of it. We want to be Carvana. Well, Carvana is selling, and Zoom or Vroom, whatever, Vroom and Carvana, they're selling less than 6% of all cars sold. I mean, they're not a major player in the grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. And will they ever be? Will people totally transact online? Surveys and most reputable surveys are showing that there's a big resistance to totally buying online, that consumers are only doing part of the process. Me personally, I will fill out my paperwork online, but I want to go see the doctor in person.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
And you're talking exactly about how Germain Toyota of Naples added 100 cars a month in sales volume. Because what Brian and Wendell and Jared figured out was we can create this new traffic, but they couldn't get the maximum out of it until we started to train the people in the dealership to create incredible experiences with these new leads that said, boy, the technology is making this easier. I think I want to buy a car from you, but I'd also like to talk to you. And when you marry those two, so for example, Brian and Wendell will tell you the story about they have salespeople who are up since August when we started working with their team, 40% from where they were. Not per month, I'm not making up funny numbers, but up 40% from where they started in a dealership that was doing well.
They were doing well. Now, Dave, when I first started Ziegler Super Systems in 1986, my vision was that every loser in the world would hire me. Every dealership that was falling on their butt would bring my phone off the hook. But guess what? The losers never hired me. But the winners, the people that were already doing great volume, great profits, they hired me to get better. Yep. It amazed me because the winners have a winning mentality and the losers, I'm sorry, they're being sucked down in the tar pits.
You're exactly right. And that's what makes what you and I do and other great trainers in this business so fun, is that we do get to work with the best, because the best are looking over their shoulder going, I'm not letting them catch me. No way. We've got to keep advancing. I just think it's so important, though, that we in training have to start embracing, okay, we have to do better at making the dealer's money go further. The days of you and I of flying in and flying out, or the days of, hey, I've got some YouTube videos, go watch them. I think you're saying of being the dealer advocate matters more than ever about us vendors, Jim. Dealers deserve better. And we all in training have to start investing better in serving the dealer with continuity of keeping training alive after we do it.
I have made a career out of exposing manufacturers and vendors that are not operating in the dealer's best interest.
Yep.
If I was a crook, I could have made a lot more money. I had one vendor, and I'm not going to say the name of the vendor. I wrote about him. I organized some things about him, and the president of that company said, Jim, you cost me $78 million. He
Oh,
said, we considered buying, listen to this, we considered buying you off, but we knew it couldn't be done. What a great compliment.
yeah.
I could be, if I was a crook, I could go into business of selling glass trophies and blackmail these dealers into buying, these vendors into buying the glass trophies, you know. Yeah. If I was a crook, I could go in the glass trophy business.
Yeah, no, Jim, you were on this topic a long time ago and you were right. And I was part of the problem. Lots of us were because we just didn't know any better. And I think today, if we can help younger generations coming into this business, they learn different than I did, Jim. They learn different than you did, right? And if we can help them learn by making learning more snackable, if we can help them learn by making it more multimedia and truly in the palm of their hand, let it be on their phone. But if we could also let it be something that motivated them, if we could offer the right kind of rewards. Hey, you and I both talk to dealers about lead measures and lag measures, right? Demo drives is a lead measure. How many cars you sold is a lag measure, right? I think in learning, getting people to practice skills is the lead measure that drives how many demos and how many sales.
Exactly. If we can, salespeople, get rid of your side hustle. Learn how
Yeah.
to do your business. Dedicate yourself to your career.
And
You
don't be
mentioned
embarrassed about it.
you mentioned a friend of mine in one of our conversations, Kent Bozarth. And
Yes.
Kent, I've known Kent since he was a toddler. His dad and I have been friends for 30 something years.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I was a client of his dad. Now I'm a client. Kent's the dealer. I'm a client of his. He's a client of mine. And about 3 years ago, Kent and I were having lunch. And I sold 2 cars, 2 waiters in the restaurant that got delivered where we were eating lunch. I can sell a car at will. I can walk out of any dealership in the country at 8 o'clock in the morning and I will deliver a car to a stranger before the sun sets.
Mm-hmm.
If the weather's good and it's not a holiday and it's not a Sunday, I will deliver a car. I can sell a car in an elevator. But can you teach other people how to do that? And do other people have the desire to learn how to prospect on that level? The winners do.
I think we have to help them. We've got to show them the winning path. My son was in the car business for 7 years. He works for me now, but he was in the retail business for 7 years. And he was amazed when he first got going how I would go, hey, Brendan, I've got a deal for you. He'd go, where are you getting these people? And I go, well, I don't know if you ever paid attention, but I never took my ad out of the church newsletter, right? I had an ad in there that said, don't worry, I'm the guy that can help you with any of your automotive needs because I know all the best dealers. Call me. I'll make it simple and easy, right?
Simple and easy. Simple and easy. That's been a theme at Germain and other successful dealerships. Simple, quick, and easy.
Yes.
Simple, quick, and easy. It doesn't need to take 4 hours, but it doesn't need to take 45 minutes. You sell a car at the customer's pace, not at the dealer's pace. That makes sense.
So true. Think of why brokers have had a business, right? And all across the country in different places. I got to tell you, my friend Steve Airy was the general manager of all Tex Earnhardt dealerships here in Arizona. Fabulous 35,000 car retail back in the day, right? And what we know is for Steve, he's trying to be a retired guy like you, comfortable like you. He can't stop getting phone calls from people who trusted him all those years because they still want Steve to make it easy. And that's what Brian's capitalized on at Germain as well.
Brian just commented on the side. I put his note on the screen. Brian Kramer, Germain Toyota. He's watching the broadcast. He says, have we taught him the skills to sell a car in an elevator? The last time I spoke with Brian, I was talking about I can sell a car in an elevator. in the limited time you're exposed to somebody in an elevator, I can sell a car to a stranger. And Yeah, great respect. Matter of fact, I've got the whole dream team on a broadcast tomorrow.
I know I'm
I've
going to
got
be there with you.
Kramer, Kilway, and Wendell. I described Wendell as salty. I'm just dying for him to see that text.
No, but that's true. That is so true, right? I
Absolutely.
I mean, you talk about three people who come together. And by the way, what I do to help dealers won't work for some stores. Did you ever feel that way?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've fired dealers. I've right in the middle. I said, I can save you a lot of money. I'm charging you $10,000 a day to be in your store. I can save you 20,000 because I'm scheduled to be here 2 more days. Just let me get me a ride to the airport because your people are never going to do what I'm teaching. I can save you $20,000.
Yeah, I so get that. I mean, I was in no shortage of dealer friends who said, let us be part of the pilot. Let us be part of the pilot when we started this summer. And I had to be really careful because there wasn't every dealer, like you said, who was going to build strong processes, who was going to be a good leader but hold people accountable, who had a Jared Kilway who was going to be this incredibly innovative digital technology person who was also a retail guy, and who was going to be a Wendell of
I
execution.
love Jared. I got utmost respect. I met him at my battle plans. I know the man. Good internet genius. Brian, give him a raise. Okay. Anyway.
So, I mean, the fact that you're going to have all three of those guys, again, in the car business, sometimes you, as you wrote, you really do get lucky and get a little bit of a dream team. And those guys are doing it. And I think I've built that here. I've got a guy on my team I just got to tell you about real quick because I'm as devoted to helping service advisors as I am salespeople. And so I went out and got a guy named Jason Frank. That's the guy I met in retail 20 years ago, fresh out of college. He's a service advisor. His dad said, don't go into the car business. And he said, I'm doing it. And I've known Jason for all of these 20 years. He became a service director. Then he went to work for a top service training and consulting company. And then he got tired of the take the money, get on the airplane, no support. And I got to tell you, I'm so lucky to have Jason Frank on this team. And we're just making incredible progress. We've got a Subaru store you'd love over in the LA basin. It's now the #1 Subaru store in the Western United States for CSI and volume on the service side of the business, right? More ROs, more dollars per RO, and more CSI because of Jason Frank and the quantum skill development approach.
You don't have to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, misrepresent to sell cars.
No.
People can say a lot of things about Jim Ziegler. I mean, I got a 46-year career in the car business. I set records. But one thing people say, Jim Ziegler is arrogant. Jim Ziegler is egotistical. Jim Ziegler wears baseball hats and too much jewelry. Jim Ziegler is this, he's that, but that man is honest and he's good. That's all I wanted to say. I'm honest and good. I don't care what else they say, because you never cheat, sneak, lie, deceive, or misrepresent to sell cars. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, no, Jim, I don't know if I told you this, but I learned that from my dad. My dad was a car dealer. I mean, I grew up around this business, right?
I knew that.
And I got to tell you, one of my dad's deals always was, son, we may not end up to be the biggest dealership in the whole world because we're just going to do things the right way and we're never going to vary from that. And one of the coolest things that happened to me is that when my dad passed, he had moved here to Arizona where he'd only lived for 3 years before he passed. And there were almost 300 people came to his funeral. And what it reminded me as a guy who was younger at that time, right? It was, 15 years ago now, is my goal was to behave in a way so that lots of people came to my funeral.
Yeah, amazing that you would mention that. I'm sure I almost died last July.
I had
a chemotherapy overdose, and I'm cancer-free right now. But I had a chemotherapy overdose. I came very close to dying. And when that happened, I was in the hospital for like 10 days. I was wondering who would come to my funeral. I mean, you always wonder about that. Would he come? Nah, he wouldn't come. She would, yeah, but yeah, what kind of a legacy have I left this industry?
Yeah. No, I
I was a good friend with Jackie B. Cooper.
you
Did you
have
ever know Jackie B. Cooper?
will remember you by in very positive ways, which is why I started out this the way I did with a thank you, because if it weren't for you, there wouldn't be people who get to do what I do and achieve the level of success. It changed my family for sure.
It's amazing, Jackie B. Cooper was my influence. Jackie B. Cooper was a personal friend of mine. Now, a business friend. I mean, he didn't stay at my house. I didn't stay at his house, but we communicated often. Now, Jackie influenced me greatly, but Jackie was a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie was not a consultant. Because I had management training, and I was a top manager in some of the biggest dealers of the day.
Yeah.
I had management experience, so I teach management. Most people today are sales trainers, and that's where they stop.
Yep.
You've got the dealer heritage. Your father, you grew up in the business. Very few people out there that are sales trainers could even realistically teach management because they don't have a management mindset.
No question about it. I mean, I have known through my own failings at first that I had to study leadership. And it was through working on my own leadership that dealers invited me to help their management team. And I've been just so lucky to be able to serve managers and leaders in our industry for a long time. That's where I've spent most of my time over the last, for sure, 20 years of my career.
Now, do you know Dave Anderson?
I do know Dave Anderson.
Do you?
Yep.
And how long have you known Dave? Where did you meet Dave?
So I met Dave at the Germain organization. He and I were both serving the organization doing different things for Steve Germain's companies, and was, sat at many a roundtable meetings with them and watched him do some of his leadership training for that family.
What a great friend to me, and what a great leadership trainer he is. Yep. And I met Dave, and I'm going to say it was 1989. Might have been 91, 92. I lose track of time back that far. Anderson Chevrolet in the Bay Area, Menlo Park. Anderson Chevrolet.
Wow.
Anderson Chevrolet was number 68 in the state in Chevrolet dealers. And John Anderson took over the dealership. He was a tremendous operator, or maybe he is. I don't know if he's still there. John Anderson, and I was consulting the dealership, and Dave Anderson was his general manager. We went from 68th in the state to number 1 in the state in 9 months.
Man.
Yeah.
He has lived the walk he talks about, and he has lived leadership, which is what I respect so much about him. And, it's required reading. 2 of Dave's books are required reading when new people join my company, because I believe we have to be a learning organization if we're going to help people with their learning. So 2 of Dave's books, including Unstoppable, his new one, is on that list that we talk about.
Yeah, leadership. There are people in our industry that actually walk that walk, and there's a lot of frauds out there. There's a lot of people that have no business taking money from dealers to train their people, and I'm not going to mention names, but we know who they are.
Yeah.
And Quantum 5 LLC. You and I have almost burned our hour. We just barely scratched the surface. This is Dave O'Brien. Now, Dave's number is on the screen. He's working and consulting his company with some of the biggest, most successful dealers in the country. A lot of room for additional clients. True?
Oh, yes, sir. We'll make room for everybody.
You'll make room for more.
We'll make room.
You might catch up with me. I was traveling 250, 300 days a year at one time out of town. I'd be in 3 dealerships in a week.
That's an award I look forward to not winning.
Oh, I haven't flown in a year since the diagnosis. It's kind of interesting, but I'm not looking forward. I got 5 million miles with Delta, maybe another million with American and United each. Just
Yep.
I used to know the flight attendants and the baggage handlers. I knew all those people. But anyway, later on tomorrow, I've got an interview with the guys at Germain, the dream team. So listen, is there anything else we need to get across to this audience during this broadcast, Dave?
I think, Jim, most importantly is just what you've allowed me to share, which is let's just make sure if you're not using me, if you're not using Jim, if you're not using somebody, make sure that you as a manager are trying to find time to work on your people's skills. Great questions, reading their customers, adapting to customers, delivering product presentations that make people go, oh, this isn't just some memorized stuff. Remember what Jim just said to you about people have a radar. They're reading you. They're watching your tone of voice. Help your team stay great at that stuff. And if you need to, reach out to people like Jim, Randy Tucker, myself. There's good people out in this business who really want to help the industry and the profession survive.
Anyway, I could talk to you forever, but time is what it is.
Thank you, Jim.
Listen, big guy, anytime I can help you, you know my number. Your number's on the screen. I hope people get in touch with you. You might want to go back in a week and see how many people commented on this thread. It'll be amazing. Take care, big guy.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Thank you.